Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsyreplays and welcome back to the channel. Today we have possibly the worst tank destroyer in the game. It's the Vindicator. This is, in my opinion, is the worst tank destroyer ever to be implemented into Blitz. It absolutely sucks. The tank is horrible. It has that 152mm, and it's just it's basically an SU, a shitter version of an SU-152. I say a shitter version. There's one thing that makes this tank really bad, and that's the gun depression. The gun depression is 2 degrees. 2 freaking degrees. Now, it is getting a buff. I think it is actually getting a couple of extra gun depression. I think it going to either 3 or 4. And that will actually play a big part in this tank. Because it really does suffer. The 2 degrees is just so awful. Absolutely awful. And it makes the tank really bad. There's certain shots that you should be able to get off, but because of the gun depression, it's just almost impossible to get off, and it's a shame. It really is a shame, because it has the opportunity to be a good tank. It has the armor. I mean, 250mm on the turret, 120mm on the hull, and it's a very troll tank when it comes to armor. It has all that spaced armor, so people start shooting heat, people start shooting HE. It's a very difficult pen. Of course, it does have heat, so that's one thing also that makes this tank suffer. It has 2 heats and it has HE. So because of that, if tanks are behind obstacles, then you can't get them, because the obstacle just absorbs the shells. So you have to bear that in mind. On top of that, with the gun depression, I mean, as I said earlier, there's certain shots that if you're on a slight incline, then you just can't get the shot off, and it's more annoying there than anything. And now the Vindicator is a tank just like the Predator. It comes with the Predator. It's a tank that I've never ever wanted to own. Both of these tanks is just, I've stayed clear of them for so long, because it's just like, well, I'm not gonna, why buy a tank if I'm never gonna play it? Now, I actually bought the tank in the end because I had the money and there was nothing else for me to buy. So I end up just, you know what, I'm going to get the tank. It's a couple of extra aces. We did ace it there, but it was on my press account, which is a shame. But it's not a tank you sit in, or it's not a tank you go play the game and you think, you know what, I'm going to play the Vindicator today. It doesn't happen. The only time I ever play the Vindicator is in stream, in a challenge stream. And it's just bad. It really is bad. Now, the armor profile is really annoying. When it first come in, it was actually really good. It was very troll. No one knew how to deal with the tank, because they would just shoot the front of the tank. That's not red, but it doesn't do no damage. It just bounces. So it is a troll tank. It can get some bounces, and when it works, it's actually, you know, it's not too bad. But that's only when it works. It's quite often that it just doesn't work. And mainly that is because of that gun depression. 2 degrees is really bad. If I was going to play a tank, a dirt tank, I mean, I would pick the SU-152 over this all day long. You're not going to get as many bounces in the SU-152 than you are this. But I also have the Smasher. Why would I want to play this when I can just dirt people in the face with a Smasher? That's much more broken than this tank. So it is a tank that if it does come back for sale, I would probably stay away from it. I wouldn't recommend the tank. Maybe it will get better. Maybe it will get better once they give it the gun depression that it needs. Maybe I will change my view on the tank. But right now, I think that this tank it's the worst TD. It's the worst TD and quite possibly the most ugliest TD as well. Of course, it is a fake tank, a made-up tank, and a lot of people don't like made-up tanks in Blitz. They want to keep it real, and when they see these kind of tanks, they just go off on one. I'm not buying that because it's not historical or it's not real or whatever. But you know what? I don't really care. I don't really care if it's made up. I'm not interested in war or history or anything like that. It's a topic that just doesn't really interest me. People always say to me, what's your favorite tank in real life? Like, I know nothing. I know nothing about tanks, but what I do know is this tank there. This isn't a real tank, but neither is the Dracula, anything like that, and they are fun tanks. As long as they're fun tanks, I don't mind if they're fake, real, or whatever. As long as they're fun tanks. Now, this tank with the Predator is... The Predator, I think, is one of the worst heavies as well, because it's so high. If people come face hug you, you just can't pen them. And it's the same as this. If an E25 rushed me, there'd be nothing I'd be able to do because I just can't get the gun down. And as you can see, the gun is just a weird looking massive hole in the front of your tank that releases 152mm. So I would definitely pick the SU-152 over this. And of course, the SU-152 is free. You can go and buy the tank in the tech tree. It is pretty much a meme tank. People only play it to derp tanks. But other than that, if this tank does come for sale, I would stay clear. I would stay clear. It's just not worth it. I mean, even here, look, even here on that guy, Fizzy, he can only just get the gun down. And if there was a tank now, with the position he's in, if there was a tank that comes close to him and he was in the bush in front, even that's enough to not be able to get your gun to face the enemy. But Fizzy, he does a good job as well, just like me. I managed to get the ace on it, which I thought I'd never would. And Fizzy manages to get the ace as well. So that is the Vindicator. Bad tank, and quite possibly the worst tank, the worst TD in the game. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the Vindicator. I'm Meadsy, and I'll see you soon. With